Have you ever noticed that some people can walk into a room, say very little, and somehow everyone listens? They don't necessarily have the biggest title, they're not necessarily the smartest person in the room, and they're definitely not always the loudest. But when they speak, people pay attention. After years of coaching leaders and working with different communication styles, I've noticed something. The people with the strongest executive presence communicate differently. They don't fill every silence, they don't over-explain, they don't need everyone to agree with them, and they don't confuse confidence with volume. They know how to make their words carry weight. So today, I'm going to give you 7 communication habits that I consistently see in highly influential people, and more importantly, show you exactly how to start using them yourself. And stay with me because number 5 is one I see incredibly smart, capable people get wrong all the time. Number 1, they don't start with the backstory. Here's something I see constantly. You ask someone a simple question, are we going to hit the deadline? And they say, well, we had that issue last Tuesday, and then Sarah was away Wednesday, and then we were waiting for accounting and I emailed them Thursday, but 2 minutes later, you're still wondering, are we going to hit the deadline? High-level communicators reverse that. They give you the answer first. Yes, we're on track for Friday. We had one delay this week, but it's been resolved. Or no, we're going to miss Friday by approximately 2 days. Here's what's happened and here's what we're going to do about it. That's executive communication. Answer, context, action. Not context, more context, side story, another side story, and eventually answer. I see this when coaching leaders all the time. Sometimes people think that more information makes them sound more knowledgeable. It can actually do the opposite. Senior leaders are constantly filtering information. The person who can take complexity and make it simple becomes incredibly valuable. So before you speak, ask yourself, what's the headline? Give me that first. Number 2, they remove weak language. Listen to the difference between these two statements. I was just thinking that maybe we could possibly look at changing the way we're doing this. Versus, I recommend we change our approach. Same person, same idea, completely different level of authority. Words like just, maybe, I think, kind of, hopefully, I'm not sure, but can slowly drain authority from what you're saying. Now, I'm not saying you should become robotic, and I'm definitely not saying you should pretend to know something when you don't. In fact, powerful communicators are very comfortable saying, I don't know. But listen to what often comes next. I don't know yet, I'll find out. That's very different from nervously talking for 3 minutes trying to hide the fact that you don't know. Confidence isn't knowing everything. Confidence is being comfortable with what you do know, what you don't know, and what you're going to do next. Number 3, they know when to stop talking. This one is huge. Imagine you're in a meeting and you're making a recommendation. You explain your reasoning, everyone goes quiet, and suddenly you think, oh no, they don't agree with me. So then you start talking again. And obviously that was just one idea, and still there's silence. You continue, we could do something completely different, still silence. And I'm totally open to whatever everyone else thinks. You just negotiated against yourself. I see people do this because silence makes them uncomfortable. But people with executive presence understand something. Silence doesn't automatically mean disagreement. Sometimes people are thinking, sometimes they're processing, sometimes they're deciding. Make your point, then stop. Let the room catch up to you. If you want to practice this, the next time you make an important point in a meeting, resist the urge to immediately fill the space afterwards. Give it 2 or 3 seconds. It will probably feel like 20, but it changes the way that you come across. Number 4, they speak to the person in front of them. This is where understanding behavioral styles becomes incredibly powerful. One of the biggest communication mistakes I see is people communicating the way that they like to communicate, instead of communicating the way the other person needs to receive information. Let's say you need approval for a new initiative. You're talking to someone who's very direct, decisive, and results-focused, what we might describe in DISC as a higher D style, and you spend 10 minutes explaining every detail. You've probably lost them. They may want, what's the goal, what's the cost, what's the risk, when can we do it? Now imagine you're presenting that exact same initiative to someone who's highly analytical and accuracy focused. If you walk in and say, trust me, I've got a great feeling about this, Good luck. They want the data. They want to understand how you reach the conclusion. They want to know what could go wrong. Same idea, different audience. Executive communication isn't about having one perfect communication style. It's about becoming adaptable enough to communicate effectively with different people. And actually, if you're listening to this thinking, okay, Melissa, but how do I know what communication style I'm dealing with? I've created something for you. I put together a free executive communication cheat sheet that you can download using the link in the description below. It gives you practical examples of how to communicate with different behavioral styles, including what they tend to respond to, what can frustrate them, and how you can adjust your approach. So download that, keep it on your phone or computer, and look at it before your next difficult conversation or important meeting. Because understanding your audience can completely change the outcome of a conversation. Now let's keep going, because this next one is where a lot of very intelligent people accidentally lose influence. Number 5, they don't need to prove they're the smartest person in the room. Have you ever been in a meeting with someone who has to correct everything? Someone says, we had about 30 people there, and they jump in, actually it was 27. Okay, maybe they're right, but did that correction move the conversation forward? As you move higher in an organization, your value isn't simply your ability to have the right answer. Your value increasingly comes from your ability to get the best out of other people. There's a big difference. Early in your career, you might get rewarded for knowing. Later in your career, you get rewarded for leading. Strong communicators don't constantly think, how do I prove my value here? They think, how do I add value here? That might mean asking a great question. It might mean saying, Sarah, you were closest to this project. What are you seeing? That one sentence communicates confidence. You're not threatened by someone else's expertise. You're using it. And people remember leaders who make them feel valuable. Number 6, they disagree without becoming disagreeable. This is where executive presence really gets tested. It's easy to communicate well when everybody agrees with you. The real test is what happens when someone challenges you. Someone says, I don't think that's going to work. A reactive communicator hears, you're wrong. A strong communicator hears, there's information here I need to understand. So instead of immediately defending themselves, they might say, tell me what you're seeing that I'm missing. That's such a powerful sentence. Or walk me through your concern. Or even, I see it differently, here's why. Notice what's missing. Drama. You can disagree without making the other person feel stupid. And this becomes especially important when you're dealing with different behavioral styles. A high D may challenge you very directly. That doesn't necessarily mean they're angry. A high C may start questioning every detail. That doesn't necessarily mean they don't trust you. A high S may become quieter when they disagree. A high I may talk through their thoughts out loud. If you interrupt every communication style through your own behavioral lens, you're going to misunderstand people. The strongest communicators learn to separate what someone is saying from how they're saying it. That's a leadership skill. And finally, number 7, they make other people feel heard. This might be the most important one. People assume executive presence is about being impressive. I don't think it is. I think some of the most influential people have an incredible ability to make the person sitting across from them feel like they're the most important person in the room. They're not looking at their phone. They're not waiting for you to stop talking so they can tell you their story. They're listening. And then they'll say something like, so if I'm understanding you correctly, the problem isn't actually the workload. It's that priorities keep changing. Is that right? Think about how that feels to the other person. They got me. That builds trust incredibly quickly. And here's the irony. If you want people to think you're interesting, become more interested in them. Ask better questions. What am I missing? What concerns you most? What would make this work for you? What do you recommend? Those questions demonstrate far more confidence than dominating every conversation. So here's what I want you to remember. Speaking like the top 1% doesn't mean using bigger words. It doesn't mean becoming more aggressive. And it definitely doesn't mean trying to sound like someone you're not. It means becoming more intentional. Be clear enough that people understand you, concise enough that they don't have to search for your point, confident enough that you don't need to over-explain yourself, adaptable enough to communicate with different personalities, and secure enough to listen. Because the goal isn't to walk into a room and make everybody think, wow, that person is impressive. The goal is to walk out of the room having moved something forward. A decision, an idea, a relationship, a team, that's influence. And that is executive presence. So here's my challenge for you. For the next 7 days, pick one of these habits. Don't try to do all 7. Maybe you'll stop over-explaining. Maybe you'll eliminate just from your vocabulary. Maybe you intentionally leave silence after making your point. Or maybe you go into your next meeting thinking, how does this person need me to communicate? Practice 1, then watch what happens. Because small changes in how you communicate can create massive changes in how people perceive your leadership. And if you're ready to take this further, this is exactly the kind of work that I do with my clients. I work one-on-one with professionals and leaders who want to strengthen their communication, leadership skills, and executive presence. We can look at your behavioral style, your communication habits, your blind spots, and how you're actually being perceived by the people around you. And if you're leading an organization or team, I also deliver team training and leadership workshops designed to help teams communicate better, understand each other, and work through those differences far more effectively. If either of those sounds like something you or your organization could benefit from, you'll find my booking link in the description below. Book a conversation with me and we can talk about where you are, where you'd like to go, and where I can help you get there. And don't forget to grab the free executive communication cheat sheet while you're there. If this video gave you something useful, subscribe to the channel because we're going to keep talking about communication, leadership, behavioral psychology, and the skills that can completely change the trajectory of your career. And before you go, tell me in the comments, which of these 7 do you need to work on the most? I'll see you in the next video.